and we're going to talk about The Brutalist. The
Little
Brutalist
boys.
is The Brutalist is a phenomenal. A lot of people have been throwing out the word epic, American classic. You know,
Eh,
I mean, I don't feel
yeah.
like they're. I don't think they're.
Well, let's say this. It's
Yeah,
certainly trying to be an epic American classic. Like it's
yeah.
certainly taking a big swing and aiming to be that kind of thing, for sure.
Yes. So The Brutalist is a film directed by Brady. Sorry, no. Why did I say something wrong? Uh, start over. Start over.
Brady Corbet.
Brady Corbet.
Yeah.
Okay, The Brutalist is a film directed by Brady Corbet, starring Adrien Brody, and the film follows the story of Lazo Toth, a Hungarian Jewish architect who is also a Holocaust survivor who, arrives in New York after enduring the horrors of the Holocaust, and he is set upon a journey to pursue the American dream. It starts off in
That's right.
Philadelphia, where Lazo starts living with his cousin Attila and his Catholic wife Audrey, who owns a furniture store. And throughout the film, we follow a two-part series of his life to see how he's adjusting to the new world.
That's right.
I just want to say, first off, I absolutely love this movie. My thing is that, like, I'm one of those people where I feel like movies should be only 90 minutes long. If it's longer than that, immediately I'm just like a little, "Ugh." But
Yep. I
this
hear you.
movie, it was not boring. The pacing was great. The story was good. I love Adrian Brody. I think he's a phenomenal actor. He's the youngest actor to win Best Actor from The Pianist. The Pianist, and I
Yep.
feel like this is going to be his next Best Actor win. Like, it's setting up for him to win Best Actor at the Academy Awards, and it's very well deserved because as Lazo, he is amazing. He's talked a lot about how his family are also Hungarian Jews, so he had a lot of inspiration through his own life in this film. So I feel like this movie is like, I don't know, like this is the performance of his life almost. So,
I agree. Yeah. Well, like his accent work is great. Like I love hearing him speak, and he does have to speak Hungarian a little bit, not a ton, but like a little bit, but mostly Hungarian accented English.
yeah,
And like I really like his physicality, like the way he carries himself, and
yeah,
kind of like the way he modulates his physicality depending on like who he's talking to. Like he kind of makes himself small and deferential when he's talking to like Guy Pearce, for example. But then when he gets like into a physical argument with another architect, he's a lot different physically. And
yeah.
I think it's a really widespread, impressive performance, especially because it's so long and has to take place over like a decade, basically, if not
Yeah.
more. And I think he's, pretty sensational. I agree.
So, in the beginning of the film, we start off with Lazo living with his cousin Attila and his wife Audrey, and they are basically given this project by I forget the
Joe Alwyn.
Joel. Oh my gosh, I'm one of those people where like I really like Joe Alwyn. I
He's
feel
great
like
in this.
he's great. And to be
Yeah.
honest, I've seen a lot of movies he's in, and I feel like this is the movie. This goes sound mean. This is the movie. I feel like he's acting, like he's giving. I know that's mean, but like I watch Kinds of Kindness to see him act because I feel like I've seen him in so many things. Like I feel like this is a note I have for a lot of actors, where like I see you in all these movies, and I see you booking things, but I need to know why. Like I need you
Yeah.
to show me, And I feel like in this movie, he really is like. He is that guy. He is that character.
Let me say this. I forgot he was in Kinds of Kindness. And like I guess I've seen him in other stuff besides this, but like
Oh my
I
god.
feel this feels like the first time I've really like clocked him and been like, wow, Joe Alwyn, you're great in this. And like I'm not gonna forget that he was in The Brutalist, even though I apparently forgot he was in Kinds of
Kinds
Kindness.
of Kindness.
So
I
yeah,
mean, he wasn't in the movie for that long. He was in the third part of the film. You know.
I couldn't tell you a single thing. I can't remember a frame of him granted that movie kind of like there's a lot there, and so a lot of it's kind of like left my brain, but
Yeah.
this one won't. Brutalist will not. I don't
Oh
think.
no, it won't. And so Attila and Lazo, they get this job from Joe Alwyn to build a library for his dad. And, the dad comes a little bit early, Harrison Lee Von Buren, and he basically evicts them out of his home because he's like, "Who are you? Why are you here?
Yeah,
I
why
will
you're
not
in my
pass
house?
away."
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And I remember watching it, and I feel like I've had like a visceral reaction to it because upon them being kicked out of the house, they're not paid for the job. Essentially,
Right.
they're blamed for destroying his library. And, then Attila puts the blame on Laszlo.
Yeah.
He's like, Lazo, you brought misfortune upon my family. You tried to sleep with my wife, which he did not try to do. And he kicks him out of his home,
Well, what's really sad, I think, in that sequence is that the library is incredible.
It is.
Like they redesign his reading room, and it's like breathtaking.
It is.
What they do and what they design, and so you're like, wow, great job. You're a really great architect. And not only are they not paid for it, but they're like berated for the work they did and thrown out of the house. And I think the thing with his cousin that we're kind of dancing around is that there's like a scene when he first gets to his cousin's place, and like his cousin is very assimilated into the United States, even though he's also a European Jew. He's like married to a Catholic woman, and like he changed his name to sound less like he's Jewish, and he's wearing suits and just like very assimilated and like trying to drop his accent best he can and trying to like don American clothes, basically, like metaphorically speaking. And he's kind of advising Laszlo to do the same. And Laszlo is more resistant to that idea that he needs to like change things about himself to be accepted in the US. And so like, this being an immigrant story, I think that's like very pointed that his cousin, who a member of his family, is like changing this about himself, and Laszlo kind of doesn't want to.
Yeah. Because you see it when he first meets his cousin, when he first sees his cousin, when they're talking and his wife is there, when the wife leaves, his accent does get thicker. And when they're driving to the mansion, he's fully speaking in a Hungarian accent. And I think it was very interesting to see it because I've experienced it in my own life because my parents are from Haiti and like most of the people I know are Haitian. So it's kind of hard to lose that kind of accent because it's similar to like an African accent. So you can't really like speak the way that other people speak because the way that the language is in Haiti, there are certain like connotations and there are certain sounds that you have to use in the words that you speak. So even in like spelling, even in writing, my mom, like she can speak English, she can write in English, but sometimes, when she writes think, she writes it as F-I-N-K, like don't even think about it. And it's like, that's not how you spell think, mommy. It's a different spelling. You know what I mean?
It's phonetical,
Yeah,
it's just
it's phonetical, exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the film and just being like, dang, like it's definitely a hard line to kind of walk because, he has a business, he's trying to make money, and he's
code switching.
Yes, he is code switching.
Yeah.
He has to fit into the American narrative. Like, even when Lasso is like, the store's called Mitchell and Sons. He's like, yes, I am Mitchell. It's like,
you don't have any sons.
and he was like, oh, well, the Americans say like a family business. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Family.
Yeah.
Exactly. But not really there yet.
But then Van Buren stiffs Laszlo and doesn't pay him for the library. But then he does seek Laszlo out, though, because he finds out that he was like a famous, renowned architect in Europe. And like, as a rich American guy, he's like, oh, this is not a poor immigrant with no skills. This is like a immigrant worthy of my time and worthy of my friendships. I should bring him to my parties and parade him in front of my rich American friends as like my interesting immigrant pet. And that's what he does.
It's interesting because when he goes to him at the construction site and then he's talking to him in the diner, he's like, I berated you. I yelled at you. Why didn't you yell back? And to be honest, when I was watching that scene and he was getting in his face, Laszlo very much like stood his ground. It was like, I am hired to do a job here. Your son asked me to be here. And he got upset.
He did stand his ground, yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, you know what? That's fine. We'll leave. We'll go.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that scene and being like, Lazo, shut your mouth. Don't say anything. This man is going off on you. You need to get up and go. Get your workers and get out of here, bro. He's going to call the cops on you. And even in like Van Buren's eyes, he was like, you didn't even like say anything. You kind of just let me walk all over you. In my head, I was like, no, he stood his ground plenty enough. Like, he's not going to start yelling at you back. Like, what would have happened then,
It's almost like Van Buren at the diner when he's pointing that out is like kind of testing the waters, being like, are you someone that I can push around and dominate and have you do what I want you to do, kind of thing? Yeah. And to an extent, yes, that's true. He is. And that's kind of where the second half of the movie goes a bit.
Right. because Van Buren is someone who is seeking, he's obsessed with control, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, he's parading Lazo around like his little like immigrant pet. When he's talking to the lawyer, and the lawyer's like, oh, I would love to help you, try to help you reconnect with your wife and, your niece. Of course, I'm thinking about like so many people who don't have that kind of like, especially Lazo got lucky,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He did so well in his life when he was in Hungary, and his architecture got destroyed, due to the Holocaust and everything that was happening in Hungary. And then he comes to America, and this rich man happens upon some photographs of his work. And if these photographs weren't preserved, then Lazo would have continued working that construction job. And because he took such an interest in him, Van Buren, he now has access to this high-profile lawyer who can help him reconnect with his wife. And you have to think about all the other people like that have to deal with that. Like Lazo standing in the line trying to get food, and all these other people, they're probably still hungry, obviously the movie, it's fake, but like, the metaphor of it all. And he has this access that he would not previously had if not for his talent and his work being preserved in a way that was, then accessible by someone who would want to use him for their own gain.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head by saying that Laszlo's lucky, and you keep using the word access, which I think is like really crucial here. And it's that, again, you're right that like, the general immigrant experience is like the bread lines that we see in this movie, and that, toiling in a construction job and that kind of thing. But it's only because someone who has the money, power, and influence to grant someone access takes notice of him and takes him under his wing. And like, again, because he's skilled and because his buildings appear in like architectural periodicals in Europe, this rich American man deems him worthy of like being invited into their rich American life.
Right.
But, this movie is kind of asking a question of like, who gets to grant access and who gets to receive that access, and what do they have to endure in order to earn that access? Because while Van Buren does grant Lazo access to this like lovely American lifestyle that also comes with a lot of strings attached, I'm thinking about how eventually Van Buren hires Lazo to build a community center. That's kind of like the bulk of the second half of the movie. But while he's building it, Van Buren brings Lazo on to live at the mansion, but in the guest house, not in the actual mansion, in the guest house. And yes, he does bring Lazo to these like parties, but, again, kind of just like to parade him around, not to like be like, hey, welcome to life in America. It's more like, look at life in America. Don't touch, but look, kind of thing.
It's also kind of, Van Buren is doing it in a way where he is elevating himself, because he is a rich man who is taking upon this survivor of the Holocaust, who had his buildings destroyed through the brutality of the Nazis. And I, an American man who built my legacy and built my wealth, have happened upon him, and I am giving him this beautiful life. Look at me. Look at what a great person I am. Like, he's kind of doing that.
Guys like Van Buren, and we see it in the movie, like to like brag. Americans that are this wealthy like to talk about their philanthropies and how they like to give back and how give money to this cause and that cause and that cause. And to Van Buren, Lazo is just like another philanthropy for him to like, help out the less fortunate. That's like he's that. He's just a cause for him to like feel better about himself and to brag about how nice he is.